the best Ducati Panigale ever. Okay, so welcome back to the channel, guys. This bike is the best Ducati Panigale ever that I have built, and I have built quite a few on my channel. So this is a 2020 V2 Panigale. This is pretty much, you're not gonna see so many of these bikes around for much longer because of the new design of the Panigale V2. They've done away with the beautiful, beautiful single-sided swing arm, and they've gone for a dual-sided swing arm and 30 horsepower less. So obviously, if you followed my channel, you know that we rebuild wrecked superbikes, and this is no exception. Now, I'm going to explain to you why I think this is my best build ever. And we're going to go through everything from a livery, from initial concept design, from all the performance parts. And then at the very end of the video, I'm also going to tell you what this bike cost me. Yes, how much of my hard-earned sweat, blood, and tears money did I drop into this baby? So stay tuned. So first up, we're going to talk design, and how beautiful does this bike look on a day like today? Look at that, not a cloud in the, oh, okay, a couple of clouds over there. Beautiful Queensland, Australian weather, 30+ degrees. And this Grigio alloy Ferrari color just pops. So this is a two-tone, this is based on an 812 Competizione, oh, I can't even say that properly. But this is Grigio alloy, this color here, and this is Medina yellow, which is like that classic Ferrari color. And these are actual Ferrari paint colors. So this is a genuine Ferrari knockoff, I guess you could say. I originally had some Ferrari styling just for some initial photo shoots I did with a Ferrari decal just there, but I quickly removed that because that looked pretty cheap. I've gone with a bit of my 1L badging, I guess. So I've got my 1L design, sort of just small amounts of my branding across the bike with a number plate of 1L instead of having an actual physical number. I really wanted this bike to be, I guess, like a standout showpiece for my channel, and that's why I sort of went above and beyond with the design on this. I wanted it to be simple, I wanted it to be subtle, and I think that's where we've landed. That with a really good mix of carbon fiber that really pops against that color. If you saw the bike in person, or you're lucky enough to see it in person, you'll understand what I mean as to how luxury this bike looks. Yes, there's still some imperfections with my painting, but I'm not a pro painter, so get with it. If you don't like that, drop a comment and let me know your real thoughts. I'm always open to replying. So that brings me to the next point, which is carbon fiber. So we had a pretty good deal going with RPM Carbon, where we managed to score just a boatload of carbon fiber to this bike. So we went with the rear swing arm, the rear hugger, the exhaust cover, which looks pretty sick around that exhaust. Not many people do that. The shock cover and the front guard. So aside from that, we also went with the engine covers as well, which go up the side of the frame. So they look pretty cool. We've got a bit of like a carbon look. Tank protector here as well, and we've got the carbon rear seats section. So any more would have just looked over the top, but I think that's just the right amount. So you can't have a Ducati and not have performance, and this bike is probably the highest performance level build we've done in terms of suspension and engine work. So let's go into those two things. Suspension, YSS race suspension on the back. We've got a 456W rear, fully adjustable. You've got high and low comp here, you've got rebound, you've got height control here, you've got pretty much everything. So you've got high, hard and soft. I'm pretty sure that's dampening there as well. So there is rebound and dampening and compression and height adjustment. That's right. So you've got the three separate controls. You can also switch out these springs. YSS do sell all the different spring rates for these bikes. So that is a pretty awesome piece. Now that helps me a hell of a lot on track. And we're going to talk about the track in a minute. On the front, we've got 30mm cartridge inserts, which again, fully adjustable, and these were installed by MotoLogic on the Gold Coast, Australia. And what you can't see, I was going to show you brakes, but also we've got the 30 adjustable clickable absorber here as well, so the dampener. And I will tell you that after some time on track, I pumped that baby right up because I needed it, especially in that top end when the bike starts to chatter around a bit on you. So CNC racing components also feature quite heavily on this bike, and we have gone with a really lightweight sprocket setup here. So we've gone with the hub adapter, the sprocket adapter, and the sprocket itself. So fully lightweight 520 chain as well. I think this is an RG Racing with Gold Point chain. So that dropped a fair bit of weight off this bike, and this bike actually dropped a lot of weight overall on the build, somewhere in the vicinity of about 8 kilo. That's a fair bit. So with the rear sets, we went with a GP Shift Spider rear set. Now these things are, let's just say, they are not the easiest thing to put together, but once you've got them together, they are really quite adjustable because you've just got height adjustable rods on both ends. You just undo the lock nut and then undo this bolt, give it a twist, put it back in place, and then you can adjust this height super easy. The first track day we did, within 5 minutes, I noticed this was all the wrong ergonomics for me. I took it all apart, redid it, put it back together, literally in about 5 minutes between track sessions. Super easy. These are really, really lightweight as well, so these look pretty cool. So staying with the CNC racing theme, we've got pretty much a CNC racing cockpit as well. We've got the fully integrated switchgear on the throttle, and then the left side race gear. We've got the Evo grips in gold. These are a tiny little bit loose, but you don't really hold the bar up here anyway. I'm sort of more so holding out here off the bar. I would do something to make these a bit more stable next time I put them on, because even though they've got the throttle spaces in there, there's still a bit of movement in there. So next time I use these, I think I'll cement them in place a little bit better. And we've also gone for braking power. Yes, okay, let's just move on to brakes now. We've gone with the 19 RCS Corsa Quarter available through CNC Racing as well. Again, I'll put all the links to my sponsors and the gear that's provided in the actual description. So for braking power, we've got a set of Brembos on here, and we've got the Brembo race pads. We didn't change the discs because look, let's face it, I'm not a world super sport rider. I think they're good for my skill level. But these braking pads, let me tell you, they do stop you on track. Yeah, it stops like a dime, this baby. Okay, now let's talk sound, because you cannot have a shit hot Panigale without an awesome exhaust on it. But let's be honest, any exhaust on a Panigale sounds pretty awesome. This one's an SC Project. It's just the slip-on, but my friend and sponsor at Clean Ride Brisbane actually polished up this pipe for me, and that just really sets it off. So we're probably gonna have to do that maybe every year, just to keep that looking good. Yes, the bike needs a clean. I've just been out on track, so it really needs another polish and another clean. It's got a couple of marks on it as well from transport when we went 3,000 Ks on a road trip and we took it down to Sydney Motorsports Park. But anyway, so the exhaust on this just sounds awesome. And there's a bunch of stuff that you can't see on this bike as well, which sits under the fairings or it's inside the engine. So we've got a tuned ECU on this engine. The whole thing has had a full dyno, I'm gonna say tuning. It now sits at 151.3 bhp at the wheel. So at the engine, that's probably around about 175, 180, and that's true numbers instead of factory numbers. Factory numbers are way less, like 15% less than that. So it actually puts out a fair bit of power for my skill level, which is just bang on. And the one thing I've learned about this bike, the second time I rode it on track was night and day difference compared to the first time. You've got to be over 8,000 revs all the time, because that's where this baby comes alive. So on top of that, it's had a multitude of deletes, AIS delete, EVAP delete, side stand delete. It's had sprint filter put in there. It's had a whole bunch of stuff to give it more performance. And like I said, we dropped a bunch of weight. We dropped around about, I think it was 8.5 to 10 kilo off this build. And that's, I said it before, that's significant. So aside from all that, there is a lot more on this bike that I could go through, but a lot of it is smaller detailed stuff. The one thing I said to you at the start is I was going to show you what I love the most about this bike. And to me, it's the cockpit, because that is just sexy as hell when you're riding it. You feel like you're on a Ducati. It sounds like you're on a Ducati, or you are on a Ducati, but just look at the detail, the color combos, just the quality of everything, the CNC Racing, the YSS, the Rizoma reservoirs, the YSS, Rizoma reservoirs, YSS, CNC Racing, and then a whole bunch of other, you know, Brembo gear, you name it. It is a pleasure to be sitting on this, cruising around track as hard as you can go. That's what I love the most about this build. And that brings me to the final thing we need to discuss, which is how much did this bike actually cost? So the bike itself was $5,300. The performance gear we put on this bike, $15,400, coming to a total of $20,700. I'll put that in US dollars on screen for you as well, just to get a feel for how much we've put into this bike. And I will probably lose a couple of thousand if I decided to sell it. But that's it. Again, if you like this type of content and you want me to do walkarounds on all of my builds, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button so you're notified when new videos come out. And we'll see you on the next one. Stay tuned. Peace.